Hello, Rise Up Visionaries. I am Susan May, and I'm here to share my journey to help inspire you on your journey of unplugging. So today, what are we talking about today? I want to dive into what your greatest gift to the world may be, and it's pretty simple. So many times we get bogged down with what's wrong with the world. And when we look at these big issues going on in the world, it almost always makes us feel terrible because it makes us feel like our problems are small and insignificant, and why should we really be worried about ourselves? We also have been trained to think about the greater good. This is an issue that I want to take apart a little bit today and continue to take apart. I want to rip it down because I believe it is a falsehood. So what if we have it all backwards? What if taking care of yourself is actually the greatest thing you can do for the world? And how do we get out of the mentality of that being selfish? I want to read to you my newsletter that went out today about this very topic. I'm just going to read it to you quickly. Hello, Rise Up Visionaries. Taking care of ourselves is where our best lives begin. I mean, that seems pretty obvious, right? I also believe that when we individually live our best life, healing the world is inevitable. But there are many barriers that stand between us and this goal of, quote, our best life, unquote. There are mental barriers, beliefs that have been programmed into us since before we were able to walk. For example, my needs are important. Or I should value the needs of, quote, society more than my individual needs. Spoiler, the needs of the individual and society are not at odds with each other. Then there are more practical barriers, lack of time and support, because the best way we take care of ourselves is by being plugged into a rich, diverse, and strong community. It seems like a contradiction, but it's true. We need each other at the biological and spiritual levels. In other words, we can never really isolate taking care of ourselves from taking care of each other. But modern life has weakened our social net, and the pace of life is such that most of us never feel balanced. It feels impossible for most of us to meet our needs and the needs of others at the same time. I believe that changing these beliefs, resisting the modern pace of life, and creating communities that support every individual is the greatest act of revolution, rebellion, and creation possible. What do you believe? I'd like for you to comment below, or if you're on my email list, email me. You can also email me at riseup@togetherwalking.com and tell me, what do you believe? Now, I'm teaching a course this month, and one of the first things we're talking about is this idea of taking care of yourself. And what has blown me away is how much we all need this. When I first designed this course back in the fall, I felt a little silly talking about self-care. I'm like, everyone knows this stuff. Why do we need to go into this? Everyone knows that they should be getting enough sleep and eating well, or doing things that matter to them, finding their purpose. But what I have found is that everyone is really struggling with this, and struggling with the balance of meeting their own needs and their children if they're parents, or maybe it's their parents if they have older parents and they're caregivers. We all struggle with this. And so this is the basis of a lot of coaching, right? Life coaching. And so I'm getting clearer and clearer on what I can offer to the world. And it's kind of funny to me to see that pretty much coaches do the same thing. So how do we differentiate ourselves? Well, how we differentiate ourselves is who do we serve? I am here to serve the medical freedom advocate, people that believe in freedom of choice of what goes in their body. And from that lens, we have a different view of the world, what it means to take care of ourselves. What is wrong in the world is different from our perspective than maybe someone who is in a more mainstream life. So I've created this philosophy and this basis for what I think is wrong in the world. And a lot of that has to do with our beliefs. It has to do with how knowledge is completely, how do I explain this? There's a lot of wrong knowledge in our culture, okay? So when we say knowledge is power, I have felt that in my life. But if you're basing your life on wrong knowledge, obviously that's not going to be the best solid foundation for you. So propaganda, based on wrong knowledge. It's not based on a philosophical truth, something that is good for me and good for society. Now this idea of greater good, I'm going to give you a couple examples, okay? When I started looking into homeschooling, there were very strong reactions to that. And actually, I had a friend, a very, very close friend who loved me very much, kind of react negatively. And the reason people react negatively often is because we have this belief in our heads that we believe in public education. And if all of the, quote, responsible parents and, like, you know, the families that have it together, if they all pull their kids out of school, then the rest of the kids are going to suffer, okay? Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that there is not any truth in that belief. There is some truth in that belief. I taught in city schools. Parent involvement is super important in children's lives generally. So here's where the problem is. It became very clear to me and my husband as we raised our daughter, who is our oldest. She is almost 16 years old now. That what was best for her was to stay with me. It was very obvious from her personality, from the bonds that she and I had, from the life that we were building, that the best thing for her was for us to continue what we were doing, and that happened to be unschooling. Now, say I felt very guilty about keeping my daughter home to the point because I thought that I was doing a disservice to the greater good, to society, and I thought, well, you know, that's great for Marisol if it's best for her to be with me, but that's not fair to all those other kids, and I put her in school. Okay, let's imagine this. If she was in a position, she was put into school really against her wishes, against what felt right to her, against her intuition, I am not making her a stronger person by doing that. And when we as parents tune into our intuition and say, wait, this isn't right for my child, when we say, I can see a better path that makes my child happier, healthier, stronger, more emotionally balanced, then how could that possibly be bad for society? I am helping my daughter become the best person she can be. Okay? That's one example of how this greater good idea gets twisted and we become emotionally manipulated into doing things that are not right for ourselves or for our children or our family. Here's another example, and this one is going to push people's comfort levels even farther. We're going to talk about the V word, okay? Health here, the injections. Greater good is constantly thrown at us for this example, and we see it playing out in all kinds of crazy ways these days. People are literally willing to make themselves and their children sick because they think they're helping the greater good. It's insane, okay? So I can tell you that my daughter, again, let's use her as an example, got all of these. From the time she was born until she was 3, she got them on time. Not coincidentally, the sickest year of her life was the year she was about 18 months old. She, in one winter, a short space of 4 or 5 months, had 5 or 6 serious illness, febrile, fevers, throwing up, diarrhea. And me being a first-time mom thought, kids get sick, this is normal, okay? And I thought I was doing the right thing. Fast forward many, many years, I've been doing research, I've raised 2 more children in a very different way. I know that is not normal now. And her health suffered for years. And she is really now getting to a place where I feel like she's much stronger, but it has taken a long time. Here's what people have to do when they believe in these and that everyone should get them at the expense of their health, no matter what. what happens is that there are many, many individuals that we end up ignoring and we end up throwing them away because we say, well, that's awful, but it is for the greater good. And when you can take that filter off and look at it straight on, dead in the eye, it becomes so abundantly clear that there is absolutely no truth in that statement. It is false. Because for all of those individuals that are harmed, that are weakened, God forbid they die, we are not making a stronger society. We are weakening our society. And so we need to do away with this idea of greater good, and we need to accept that taking care of ourselves is very important work. Now, there's good news. Taking care of yourself does not have to mean you are selfish, that you are egotistical, that you don't care about others. When we take care of ourselves, we want to take care of others because it's our natural inclination. When our cups are overflowing and full of goodness, we want that goodness to spread out to the people around us. We want to give our children the best lives possible. We want our communities to be strong and healthy and thriving. Okay, so they are not exclusive things. Taking care of yourself and taking care of your larger community fit together, and they strengthen each other. So that is the takeaway. I realize these are difficult concepts, and we can't all just take them and say, oh, yes, there are things that you need to dig into here. And sometimes we need to hear things once, twice, 10 times, 100 times before it sinks in and it clicks. Sometimes we know something in our head, but our heart doesn't quite fully accept it yet. So I'm going to keep repeating these messages. I would love, if you agree with it, for you to spread the word. Share this video with someone you love who maybe say, hey, she said this in a different way that I hadn't thought about that before. So maybe we should re-examine our beliefs. So like I said, this is something that I feel equipped to help people with, because you can change your belief in your head. Right now, maybe some of you are watching and saying, yes, Susan, I agree. The problem is that our subconscious still has a belief, and it will still act out your life. So you may still go out in the world and do things that don't line up with your brain belief that you should take care of yourself, because your subconscious still has that belief that you're a bad person or that you should put other person's needs first. So I feel especially equipped to help people that see the world through this lens of the medical freedom advocate, who understand that there's things in our society, knowledge that is taken as truth that is absolutely not truth. And I feel very fortunate that my life has led me to a place, to this time, where I feel so strongly and have so much knowing inside of me that I am able to take my family in a different direction and to maybe help others do the same thing, because that is my purpose and calling, and I am enjoying every minute of it. So thank you for watching today. I would love for you to comment below what your beliefs are, if this made you uncomfortable or if it makes sense to you. And please share this video. And finally, I want you to remember to be bold, be brave, be you, because who else is there to be? I love you all, and I will be back Monday at 11. Bye.